Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, Transformers fans everywhere, welcome back. LPS Last Prime Speculator, here to bring you another speculation as always. Today, we're going to finish the series I'm doing called the Apocalypse series. Today's focus is on the creators. If you haven't seen my last two, the Knights of Iacon and Quintessa Lockdown's Bounty, make sure to check those out because this is part 3 of it. This is strictly focused on the creators of the Transformers, good and bad. I'm not really going to do Quintessa too much. I'm going to have her in part of my speculation at the end of it because the first two videos I kind of really covered what Quintessa is. We know she's the Great Deceiver pretty much, but make sure to check those out. I'm just going to focus on pretty much the other ones, but she'll be part of the speculation at the very end. If you're not familiar with this channel, we dig deep in the lore of Transformers. This is pure speculation of the Transformers universe. Otherwise, let's get right to it. Primus. Primus is who I was hoping was actually going to be in the Last Knight and that planet coming down. I was hoping it was him. I've been dying to see him. So let's talk about Primus. Primus is the creator god of the Transformers, an ancient ethereal being whose origins date back to the beginning of the universe itself. Primus is a multi-force of good. His life force existing across the universe, Primus eventually transformed himself into the planet Cybertron from its surface. His creations have risen to defend and patrol the galaxies. A portion of his life force resides within the Matrix itself, which often determines the leader of the Autobots. The prophecies of war have come down to written his loyal covenants as well. The spark of each Transformer is a small piece of Primus' soul, and together they form the life force known as the Allspark. That would actually be the actual inner core. Every Transformer that is born has the inner core and inner being and knowledge and a little taste of Primus himself. Beautiful stuff. Now let's learn about his twin brother, the Lord of Chaos, Unicron. Known as the Planet Eater, or pretty much anything evil in this world, this is who Unicron is, okay? Unicron is the arch enemy of his twin brother Primus, also known as the Lord of Chaos, the Chaos Bringer, or the Planet Eater, which is my favorite to call him. He is dedicated to consuming all the multi-universes in the galaxy. His massive form is powered by the consumptions of planets, moon, stars, and any living organism in his path. Unicron will not be satisfied till his ultimate goal is attained, to bring the end of creation and boosting his independence around him. He will never find peace until he becomes the living center of the universe himself. Unicron thus far has devoured at least 22.56 of the known universe. The only thing he fears most is Primus' incense, contained inside the matrix of leadership. To being of the chaos of the uncreation, this life form is pure poison to the soul of Unicron. Unicron will make deals with lesser beings, promise them vast new powers in exchange for their soul and life services. These minions are sometimes stripped entire of their free will, but others follow him willingly. Service to Unicron will cause insanity and a loss of their soul, free will, and pure evil corruption. Once you make a deal with Unicron, there is no way out of his evil power. Now, let's learn about the Quintessons. The Quintessons is who I believe is actually the creator's idea of this Transformers universe from Transformers Age of Extinction, where I think they're going in this path. We know Primus is actually the true creator. Unicron can create do the same thing, but Primus is the actual true creator. I've done Solus Prime and Transformers Education 1-2. The Quintessons are the false gods of the Transformers, but they did create the Autobots and Decepticons. So let's learn about them. The Quintessons are a bizarre and ancient alien race whose dark history and shadows are bound up with the history of the Transformers. With connection to both Primus and Unicron, they are known in the galaxies as wide traders, entrepreneurs, and businessmen, but their dealings are very rarely on that level, often laced with actual signs and pure betrayal. They prefer manipulation, scheming, and advanced technology over brutal force. But if that doesn't work, they can fall back on their legion of deadly Sharkticons and Alicons. At their command, a fleet of these ready spaceship battleships as well. The Quintessons appear to mostly be mechanical beings. They come in several distinct forms, some which are identified by their place in the Quintesson bizarre court system. But their most distinctive physical characteristic are the 5 rotating faces. Each represents a different aspect for the Quintessons. Let's learn about what I call the 5 faces of evil, guys. Rage. Feel or express violent, uncontrollable anger. Laughter. Movements of the face and body that are instinctive expressions of lively amusement. Bitterness. anger and disappointment at being treated unfairly, doubt, a feeling of uncertainty or lack of conviction, death, an action or effect of dying or being killed, the end of a life of a person or organism. The result with the Quintessons, no matter what it is, even if you're guilty, innocent, or still going, it's always death. Death is always the result. They kill living things that they capture for their own amusement. They are pure evil. And they enjoy torturing anything they come. They actually do these court systems for their own amusement. It's actually pretty wicked. It really is. It'd be awesome to see this stuff in the live action universe. So, let's learn about the Quintesson lore. I'm going to go through with this, okay? They attacked Cybertron around the 450 million BC, 450 million BC, okay? And they claim themselves as the creators. They literally came to Cybertron and caught it at the right moment. After the battle with the 13 and the fall of the 13, and then obviously the Unicron and Primus war, Primus became Cybertron, right? And the Well of Sparks, Solus Prime, became kind of the blood source of Cybertron, and they formed a planet. The first actual Transformers on Earth were Barbarians and Beast. Like, let's just say Grimlock, okay? And if you really want to get into it, the Knights of Cybertron were actually the first children off of the Well of Sparks. So they were the first ones created, the Knights of Guardian. But basically, at this time, this was Beast era. This was the Dinobots' time of life. Let's just call it like that in the live-action world. Very similar to Earth, right? Now, when they came in, they enslaved the Transformers, and they wiped out their entire history, okay? You got to think the Barbarians at this time, their education wasn't to even the level of the Quintessons, okay? The Quintessons brought knowledge, brought technology, and basically came from the skies. And at this time, barbarian life, they were building probably medieval castles, living like an old time of events through a Transformers world. They basically beast ran free in a way, right? And what they did is that any of these, I'm assuming, like, again, we'll say the Dinobots, right? Some sort of education of any of these ones, they were killed or put and enslaved away. They wiped out the entire history of the Primes, the entire history of Primus of Unicron, and they claimed themselves as God. But they basically kept certain ones alive for their own wicked ways, testing, and knowledge as well. And what I'm talking about is the Knights of Cybertron, the Guardian Knights, the Knights of Iacon, who I believe is who they decided to keep alive, because the Knights were very unique. I mean, they were very powerful. They had knowledge. They were warriors. They had wisdom. They were literally unique and so fascinating. The Quintessons thought, okay, maybe we can perfect the Transformer off of their spark. Again, this is speculation, and we can create our own warriors and ideas of the Knights of Cybertron, and also we can force them to do their bidding, because now we are in power and we are in control of them. That's kind of what I think. Okay, now. The Quintessons came down into Cybertron and brought knowledge of what's called the cog. And the cog is literally what makes a Cybertronian transform to a beast or a Transformer, okay? You got to think, they wiped out all the history, kept certain ones alive, but they literally kept the ones, I'm assuming, to show what they knew. They knew about the Cybertronian technology and the Cybertronians before an advancement. When you're invading and doing an invasion, you do your research on your enemy to perfect it, because if that doesn't work, and you spend let's say you spend all the money, let's think about human element, and you fail, you're done. You are done. You cannot do that. But they came and they brought the idea of the cog, and that is literally what can make a Cybertronian transform into a beast or a vehicle mode. That is literally they brought that knowledge from their advance of technology. So they studied their product very well. Once they were able to transform these beast modes, they would use the ones as vehicles to do their slaving, their mining, their traveling, basically to either harvest energon, right? Think about it that way, travel from one point A to point B, or also to build armies, right? Now, being that they were provided this new power to this very young Cybertronian race that was still developing, like I said, they caught them at the perfect time, and they're very uneducated at this point. They now were looked at as gods, because in their way of these this uneducated Cybertronian, well, again, we'll say it's the Dinobots, Beast Arrow, something like that. They they were portrayed as gods because they were able to, in a way, manipulate the spark of the Transformer and make them transform to do their own evil bidding, to slave military purpose. But you got to think of that as that's a wow factor for a young civilization. And then they again were bowed down as gods, right? Now, they also brought this as well, and this was also brand new, and I think this gets overlooked a lot. Quintessons were one of the first, I'm not sure if they're exact first, but they literally had one of the first ever called Space Bridge. They were able to use the Space Bridge, and wherever they went and explored these galaxies, they would put Space Bridge, just like a Stargate in a way, on planets, and they literally could travel from point A to point B in a blink of an eye through these Space Bridge. So they would send their armies, their minions to these planets to explore maybe prior, create a space bridge, and when they came with the invasion, they came with brutal and utter force on anything standing in their way. Again, that is another sign of manipulation, but their technology was so advanced, that would be another reason why they would be claimed as God. Literally, being a young civilization, going from being able to transform it with your cog that they brought in, and being able to travel at the speed of light, that is a big deal for a young civilization in a way. Again, manipulation, right? And that was one of their most powerful artifacts, was the space bridge. And down the road, the Transformers actually stole it and learned about it. And then you hear, Jetfire talk about it. The space bridge is very commonly used, but the Quintessons were actually the creator of the space bridge. They stole that down the road, but they did bring Cybertron the first ever space bridge. They did steal the technology, but in their eyes, we'll say that that's the first space bridge ever created for a Cybertronian race, right? But that's what the space bridge did. It was able to let their minions go from galaxy to galaxy, take up all their resources, harvest all their energy, bring slaves, and slaughter everything. They think of it as a giant succubus in a way, kind of like what they talk about Unicron in this movie, right? Now, through all of this evilness going on, like I said, the death, the slavery, the torture, these beings were extremely cruel. To tell you the truth, I was actually scared of them when I read the comics. I was actually scared of the Quintessons. I hated them. Would love to see them now, though I'm older. But they're very dark and they're very evil. Now, this is when, this time, after all this is going on, something rises into power. And it basically begins to turn. And then once I basically break this down for you, we're going to speculate, okay? The Matrix rises through the darkness of Cybertron. So this ancient weapon, we all know the Matrix of Leadership. If you're not familiar with the Matrix of Leadership, it literally carries the power and the wisdom of Primus himself. It is chosen, it is not given. You get you're upgraded. You become more powerful and able to do stuff that you were able to do because you literally have as close as it comes to Primus in you, and you are literally the holder of this great power of good. And basically, when the Matrix rose up from the depths of the darkness during the Cybertron, it chose a loyal slave worker. And the Matrix, again, chooses its holder, the one that protects it, and Primus, in a way, chooses that one. We all know it basically becomes a Prime, which is what I love, and I think most of my subs know. This is a very Prime-heavy network. I am so fascinated by the Primes. Please let us see them in this movie, right? And the Matrix will provide the knowledge, honor, and actual physical power, right? It is gifted and provides an upgrade to every Cybertronian that forms powers and new capabilities, and also even more bravery than they had before. And it chose a loyal worker bot, in a way, an Autobot. That's what the Matrix is normally chosen by. It's chosen by an Autobot. So this could have been the first creation of the Autobot race, right? The first Matrix worker bot that became the first Matrix barrier was Primus, and he named himself after Primus, the god of light. And he was the first Matrix barrier at this time. He became the first Matrix barrier after the fall of the 13, right? Now, this is where everything gets interesting. Now, after the Knights learned of the knowledge of the Matrix has risen, that means that, in a way, the time has come for the Knights of Cybertron to basically use, and now that the Matrix is up, to use this to their advantage. The Knights were the first children created off the Well of Sparks. They were technically the first children of Solus Prime, in a way. She became the Well of Sparks. When she died, she became one with Primus. And once they found out that the Matrix was risen through the darkness, this was their time to attack. And what they did was they basically rebelled against the Quintessons, formed, I'm assuming, a court system in a way, and vanished. When they vanished, they escaped with a powerful Quintesson artifact. And this powerful Quintesson artifact was called the Quintesson Journal. Let's learn about the Quintesson Journal. The Quintesson Journal were used by the Quintessons. They used these Cinderella data storage devices to hold information regarding their scientific operations and consultation for information for analysis. Unfortunately for the Quintesson others, they did not like what they found in this data and what it contained and what exactly the journals revealed. The Quintessons were responsible for trading numerous worlds, providing inhabitants of technology that would either destroy all the planets or begin wars in order to profit from themselves and for their sales. One such profitable endeavor was the record of the journal. 1,000 years engineered a war from planets of life forms all across the galaxies. So, I think you know where I'm getting with this. The Quintesson Journal was a data chip. It was an information of the Quintesson history, slavery, torture, the cog, where they got all of this. This was the actual escaped artifact. What I'm saying here, I think this is actually the Iacon that was handed to Cade Yeager. That Cade Yeager being the Last Knight, this is the live-action universe of the Quintesson Journal. This is actually the Iacon, the Talisman for the escaped treasure of the Quintessons. Again, I'm a believer that staff could be fake. Now let's speculate, okay? I'm going to give you, throughout what we just learned about all this, and then at the very end, I'm going to do kind of what I hope happens, you know? Got to do that in there for you, too. Now, the Knights of Cybertron, pre the Quintesson invasion, Lockdown confirmed that the Knights were great crusaders, explorers. They went out through the galaxy. They were a wisdom of peace. They were travelers. They would spread the knowledge. If they ever caught life, they would basically provide what they knew and basically build relationships. But they were explorers of the galaxy. Hold that thought. When the Quintessons invaded, they kept the Knights alive. They killed everything else, wiped the history of the Transformer, but they specifically kept the Knights alive, being that they were very unique, right? We know about how cool Dragonstorm is. They were extremely powerful. They were extremely wise. They were peaceful. They were also warriors, and they were also the direct children of the Well of Sparks, and in a way, the first children created with him, Primus and Solus Prime. If you think about it, that was actually the first creation off of them when the Maker died. Solus Prime became one with Primus. There's a male and female. They were actually the first children created. So they are that unique that literally is the perfect spark to analyze, to perfect the cog for the Quintessons. And also, basically, they're outnumbered. Make them do their biddings for them, right? Now, the Quintessons would use to explore galaxies themselves. We knew they did that, and I'm sure they were familiar with everything else out there. They also had Titans that rode with them as well that are now deserted. I'm hoping a Titan is on Earth. We'll keep that aside. But they would also that was part of their explorations, is that they would also use Titans in these ships, the night ships, and they were familiar with the galaxies, right? They had the knowledge. Now, they made the Knights use the Quintesson technology space bridges. They would basically, this is a speculation, I think once they found out where the Knights landed prior to the Quintesson invasion, the Quintessons are now in power at this time, what I'm talking about, they would make the Knights put their space bridges around their galaxies that they explored and their knowledge, and basically inherited all the knowledge that the Knights provided and put it in this Iacon Talisman, and make them go back and put the space bridge. So when they were prepared for their invasion, a blink of eye, you're right there and you're prepared to invade. One of their quests, they were drawn to planet Earth. Now, this is where I'm going to get very interesting on the speculation. They were drawn to the planet Earth as well, and this is what I think happened. I think they were the planet Earth was speaking to them. But why was it speaking to them, right? They were drawn to this planet. I believe the Knights of Cybertron found Earth before we see the invasion of the Quintessons in the beginning, right? The gravity force of Earth was pulling the Knights toward them. But the real question is, why? Okay? Now, this is where I'm going to speculate big time, okay? Let's be open-minded. We know it's Unicron, right? We know that Quintessa confirmed it was Unicron. This is what I think actually happened, okay? Now, after the Battle of the 13 and the Battle of Primus, Primus formed Cybertron to lock Unicron in. Unicron ended up escaping. Here's where I'm getting at, is that Unicron, at the end of the day, is still a dark god. He is still pure evil. He He can do godlike forces. Primus does it for good. Unicron does it for bad. We know that. I'm thinking that Unicron might have had a sliver of a cube in a way. Like the Allspark. Remember in the Revenge of the Fallen, the sliver of the cube? And that's what basically provided the knowledge that the Fallen wanted to find his Sun Harvest. Think of it the same way as Unicron, okay? Now, I think the Knights actually found Earth prior, okay? I think they found prior before that invasion we see. I think they reported back to the Quintessons, okay, there definitely is Energon in this planet. It's not good Energon, though. Yeah, I'm thinking it's dark Energon. A little sliver of, let's say, Unicron's body part folded in, landed in Earth's atmosphere, and became the core of Earth. And that's where he kind of started slowly creating. Maybe able to create Energon. The Quintessons learn about this. This could be at the time where the Quintessons maybe were at a short of Energon, because that is part of the comics, that is part of the lore, that did happen. They needed it as well. And at the end of the day, they were businessmen. And they, in a way, probably looked down to the Knights, even though they kept them alive. Like, at the end of the day, we're the gods, you're not. Now, when they came back, they provided that there could be dark Energon here. There is something wicked here. Of course, they didn't listen. And then in come the space bridge. They send the invasion for Transformers Age of Extinction in, right? And this is where I believe what happened. The Knights realized that this was the Dark Lord of Unicron. And without any hesitation, the Quintessons being evil, came, used a space bridge, went on Earth, dropped the seeds. I think Unicron absorbed the seeds of the transforming man that wiped down the dinosaurs to basically create what is now in Earth, and those are his horns. So this is over 1 billion years, 1 million, billion, whatever the time frame is. But when they came and invaded and wiped out the dinosaurs, there was a small hint of Unicron here. But obviously they transformed, they wiped out the entire Earth, right? That was able to have Unicron be able to use maybe the spark plug to get him going. You know, in the Transformers sign, it lights up at the very end. I always thought that was the awakening of Unicron. That could also be the same type of idea where the seed, he was able to draw the energy of the seed and also Earth's core, and now we see the horns rising once we know Quintessa got in the picture, right? Now, this is what I think lockdown means to wipe the chessboard clean. They want to cover up their dirty work for what they did to the Transformers, right? They want to cover up what they know about the Transformers. They also want to cover up their own asses because they know about Primus, they know about Unicron, and they know that Unicron is actually there. Optimus Prime is very connected to this planet. He's connected to Earth in general and the human beings in general. My last breakdown, I talked about Quintessa and all that, but let's be open-minded on this because this is going to blow some minds. Now, when the Quintessons invaded in Transformers Age of Extinction, we see him drop those seeds. And then when Optimus Prime is explaining to Cade what Megatron was doing to manipulate the whole technology, Brains kind of backed him up on it. He said that they were building Transformers. They were starting a factory. What if Optimus Prime was actually part of the creation of Earth being created? So when they came down and dropped those seeds that we see him on, he's being created on Earth. He is literally being the first Prime down on Earth and in a way claiming the Protector without even knowing, without them even knowing, because they did create the Autobots and Decepticons. And they don't do a very good well of explaining this. I know Alpha Trion created Optimus. I did a video on that recently, but let's be open-minded again. That literally Optimus Prime was created off of the seed on Earth. And that's why he's so attached to this planet and attached to the humans. And at the very end, he says Earth is his home. That what if Earth was actually his first home? We know Cybertron is, but his birthplace was Earth when the creators came down to Earth and wiped out the dinosaurs. Optimus Prime could have been born in that giant Transformium seed crap where a Prime was literally born on Earth and labeled as the guardian, the protector of Earth. And that's why he's so connected to Earth in general and the human being. It would make a ton of sense. And it would be also badass if that was actually, because you know what? That would actually be a storyline and a plot, and actually they'd be able to connect that. I hope you guys are interested in that little speculation. And that literally, that the Iacon has all the information and wipes the whole documents clean, and it's the Quintesson Journal that is actually the escape treasure of the Knights of Cybertron. So it's inherent on that. So he knows Optimus Prime cannot find out the information that this is Earth. Now I figured I'll give you what I hope happens. I gave you the speculations. These are more speculations too. This is kind of what I hope happens. As you guys know, if you're not familiar with this channel, we dig deep in the lore of the Transformers. My subscribers know I am a huge fan of Primus. I want to see Primus so bad. This is what I hope really happens, okay? Other than what we just talked about, you know, Optimus Prime. Of course, how sick would that be, by the way? I want to see Primus. What if Primus is actually Earth? What if we're betrayed and we're being manipulated as well by Quintessa, that she brought the knowledge of Unicron to Optimus Prime. She learned about the Quintessons, right? Because I think she's her own little thing in a way. She's created off something else. I gave you the speculation in my last video. If you haven't seen it, check it out, where that she was the first human created when the seeds were dropped down. But she refers to Unicron as Earth, and that's who Nemesis Prime needs to destroy. What if it's actually Primus? What if Primus is actually the one in Earth? And it would make a lot of sense, because we saw in Age of Extinction, or not Age of Extinction, Revenge of the Fallen, the Primes, they do look darker and a little bit evil looking, but they look feral-like. But obviously we know when Sam met them, they were peaceful people. That literally, he could have been the first, he could literally be Earth, the maker of us, the maker of the Transformers. I thought, I did in one of my breakdowns, when they actually showed the gold coin, you see the blue run in, we see the dark energon. I thought that literally Primus was Earth, and that would make a lot of sense, that literally the planet itself that was coming for Earth was actually Unicron, and Primus is actually the protector of Earth in a live action world. They have to build their own lore. Again, this is what I hope would happen. And that Quintessa is directly working for Unicron, and she's manipulating Optimus to destroy Primus, because what did we learn before? The only thing Unicron fears most is Primus in his matrix of leadership. That's the only thing he fears. It's pure poison. It would make a lot of sense. Unicron could have created Quintessa as his queen to do his bidding, to destroy Primus. Earth, land, beauty, power. That's what Primus is, man. Again, this is a speculation channel. This part's what I want. And the 6 horns could literally be the royal crown of Primus. A god, a king, like we learned about King Arthur, they always need their crown. Why not make it Primus, man? Why not, man? So, I don't know, guys. I thought I'd throw that in there in the end. Like I said, I want to see Primus. I've always wanted to see Primus. If you guys haven't seen my Twitter, make sure to follow me on my Twitter. I actually snuck out with Lindsay and bought saw the Primus toy. I'll post that a little bit later, sometime down the road. I don't want to sleep on the couch between you and me. But anyway, guys, to my subscribers, I love you so much. Thank you so much for hitting 2K, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm so thankful. I love Transformers. I love you guys. At the end of the day, it's called YouTube. It's about you guys. Without you guys, there ain't no LPS. There is no Prime Speculator. This is your community. I'm just the face of the franchise, like I always say. If you're not familiar with the channel, we dig deep in the lore of Transformers. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. Make sure to follow me at Twitter at Prime Speculator. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Last Prime Speculator. And make sure to check out the official Facebook page of Prime Speculator. Guys, I built all these social media so I can stay in contact with you the best I can. Again, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Check out the Facebook. LPS, Last Prime Speculator. To my subscribers, I love you so much. Peace.